Hello. Hello. Everything working? Let me check. So, yeah, it looks good. The UI of the YouTube Studio is not very good, to be honest. It's like when I on the backstage, I cannot have a link to my uh to the actual video. So I need to find it. Okay. All right. So, okay, sound is okay, and the picture is okay. Yeah, I think I was just not speak very loud. Or maybe it's because like I usually I usually don't talk that much. But yeah, this week this is the third day of the week. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I quite enjoying that. And building together with you is really interesting. I'll explain that a bit later when we start. So yeah, I kind of enjoying that. And it's interesting. It's like the the mode of my like the way I work is quite different when I'm streaming or not. So that's pretty interesting. So how do I explain? It's like when I'm doing streaming, I will try to explain things, and I will also try to consider um, that how the video how the streaming looks like, what's the procedure, what's our step, and I think that's interesting. And also like when you know that people are watching you doing something, it's just like there is someone sitting behind you to watch you coding. You'll feel different, and I mean, to me, it's in a positive way. It's like I will become more productive, and because like I cannot kind of being distracted to do something else. Like while like when I'm not streaming and when I was coding, it's like I was jumping between different project, and like uh like sometimes I will like doing it simultaneously because maybe because I'm waiting something, like waiting for CI to pass for this project, and then I will go to another project and start doing things and spend 2 hours and back to the original project. So yeah, so for me it's like also like when doing streaming is like it kind of forced me to do something that I kind of will be lazy to do when there's no one watching, because yeah, I don't really enjoy doing that, like some kind of like task. And oh, is that today? Today is the Black Friday? I don't know. I don't. So so Black Friday is the last Friday of November? Okay. Okay. Cool. I didn't know. I just know it's here because like there's a lot of promotion, but I didn't notice it's today. Hello. Yeah, this is today will be a bit random. Yeah, I think a few reason. Uh the the first reason is like I happen to have time sitting at home today, so I am available to doing the stream, and also like I really want to kind fix the bug, the issue we faced yesterday, because that really frustrated me to think that this project is not going forward, or like because this is a quite a big blocker. And fortunately we have the solution, and I will explain that later. So like I would like to get things moving forward as soon as possible. So that's how we have this today's streaming. And yeah, and I really like uh YouTube is like all streaming will be available like right after the stream. And also like you can, I think you can go back to the beginning, even though I'm while I'm streaming. So it's like the previous will be recorded and you can go back to play. And also you can catch up if you do like fast forward or like speed up. So even you kind of miss that live from the beginning, you join in the middle way, join in the middle, you can still like watch it from the beginning. And yeah, even though that will be a little bit different because you cannot send me in the chat to the past, but yeah. So yeah, so I think in the future uh depends on how we progress, or how the project progress. Uh, we will have some like actual live time to time. So I think we will still stick to the schedule on Tuesday and Thursday. But yeah, I might take some day off when, yeah, I might not. But like that's exceptional. Like on schedule, we'll do like Tuesday and Thursday, and if we have time or if we have a chance, I'll do extra more. So, and I will let you know, and I'll create the, how do you say that, schedule live. I think it's schedule live that you can set a reminder on. All right. Okay. I think let's start. So let me just check quickly. Okay. Everything looks good. Okay. Okay, let's start. So so for today, so for yesterday's issue, and I was trying to, like, because like we were hitting some JavaScript or CSS resources, but it's the server always returns index.html, which is fallback, which is default behavior of SPA. And well, that shouldn't happen, because when the file exists, you should serve the file instead of fall back to your to the index. So that kind struggle me quite a lot, because it's not reproducible on Stackbase itself, but it's only here in the inside the web container, the playground that we are building. And I trying to reach out to web containers team, Stackbase team, and they kind take some time to kind investigate it. While in the meantime, like I think like just 1 hour after I finished my live, I got 2 PRs. That's amazing. So I got 2 PRs fixing the same issues at almost the same time. So it'll be it's 12 and 13. So this is like 19 hours ago, and this is 19 hours ago. So it basically happens in a same hour. So they are fixing the same issue, and in similar way, but it's cool that I have to I'm only be able to merge one because they are doing the same. But I also try to say that even though I closed the one that created by by Huang. Sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but provided by him. And then I tried to also how do I say that here? So I also count him as uh, sorry, as a co-contributor. So that in this committee is committed by 3 people, and yeah, uh thanks both of you for working on it, and actually all of you like debugging with me yesterday to find that. So I will explain that a little bit a little bit. So the problem is here is like actually the iframe is previewing a wrong URL, and that is because like server ready files up multiple time because Nuxt listen to multiple ports, like create multiple servers and with multiple ports. And the first is 3000 is the main one that we have, and then we will have also I think it's a random one. It's like how I pronounce that? It's like 20,000, 60,000, and 200 something, and 57,100. Is that 50? Yeah, sorry, 57,000. And actually, 3 ports being created, and then because this counts the last. So when we see the playground, we kind of assign this the last URL to our iframe. So and that server is kind of internal server, and that only servers are rendered but not the other files. So we actually want 3000. So and that's pretty interesting because I also like feedback it to the Stacklist team, and they say this is kind expect behavior because that's how server ready is designed. It lets you know that when you have multiple servers ready and you handle it. But while that's I never aware of that. I wasn't noticed that this hook will be called multiple times. So here the fix in PR12 is to only set the URL for the first time, and the other one is to check if the port is 3000, and I think both would work. There's no much different, but I think that's we just pick the port that we would like to have. Might be a more straightforward solution. So that's it. So so this is basically you can consider it as a setup error, or it's like a bug that's on the user land. So luckily it's not a bug either on Nuxt or web container. So I think it's more like maybe they feedback to the step-based thing, and they say this is probably more like a guidance issue. So they will improve the documentation to mention these things. So this is only occurred that when you're kind of running a server that's listening to multiple ports, and yeah. So so why also like why Stepblaze.com not having this issue, because they already have the logic to handle it. And what they share with me is like they will listen to the lowest port in number. So like so here it works because it will just basically ignore all the ports later on because all of them are greater than 3000. And we can also implement that logic, but I like so but basically we don't need to do that that generalized solution. I think we can just listen to 3000, and I think there might be a edge cases like 3000 is not available, and the Nuxt will fall back to another server and another port. So I think in a layer we could change it as a variable and also pass it to the end. So we kind of force Nuxt to start on certain port. And in that case, if that port is not available, Nuxt will just fail. rather than we are waiting for a port that never exists. So basically that's it. So I mean this is why I love open source, right? So I have you two like contributing and helping me to find bugs. That's I think it might take me days to figure out that, because I would never consider there would be an issue. And I was just like maxing around with this web container and the content of it. Or like I was also checking middleware in both Nitro and Nuxt, but it's totally a wrong direction. So it's better to have deep like multiple minds working on project. So yeah, thank you. So this is explanation of EX issue. And also we can have um, a few PRs coming. Uh, that's also like really impressive. So I'll go through them quickly because I already merged some of them and I already uh, make some decision here. But I just quickly go through so you know that's what have changed in the code base. So here is adding a new composable helper is to use panel cookie. So instead of like use local story, we are using cookie now, and it's changing, adding a bit like allow to the iframe, and that's basically good to have, but we are not using them at this moment. And this is the implementation of use use panel cookie. It basically just wrapping with use cookie and changing the API a little bit and adding watch to, so that whenever you assign this value, it will write back to the cookie. And I think this is not thing, and that's it. And moving dependency to that dependency, and that's it for this PR. And then oh yeah, we have this closed because I happen to work at the same time as he works. So so yeah, I'll just show you later. That's basically the conflict, and certain is being merged, and including npm RC in the basic template. So that's one thing good to know, is like I wasn't even aware of, is like so import meta globe, it doesn't glob node modules or any files starting with dots by default. So I actually don't need to have node modules, and while that's .npm RC is being ignored by default. So so I think the original implementation is like adding a dot npm RC to it, because like I was setting shamefully hoist true, but it's actually never passed into the web container. So I actually changing a little bit later on, but just let you know, if you are using import meta globe, you should aware of that. Like dot files are not included by default. And then this is a refactor transaction API support. So this is interesting. So at least I can show you, I think. So yeah, let me just show you. So with my website, so when you clicking on the changing the color schema, it will do an animation, if you notice. So this is done by view transaction API, transition API. So this is a new API that's introduced by Chrome. Like I think it's driven by Chrome, but it's a general API. But I think currently only Chrome support that, and all Chrome-based browsers. But anyway, this is cool, but I kind of think that's it's not ideal for this playground at this moment, because the transition takes quite a lot computing energy, and while that we are running web container, it consumes a lot. So it kind of make the animation becomes a bit laggy and probably too much. So so I'll just that's not having it right now. But if you want to check the implementation, feel free to go. It's not crazy, and it's just some API checking and CSS stuff. So if you like that behavior, maybe you can. If you like that effect, maybe you can copy it to your site or doing something. Uh, but for this particular playground, that we will not consider it at this moment. But maybe we'll later we may reconsider it. So and then where is it? Where am I? Okay. And the panel size, I think this is a bug fix. And I saw this they will I saw the panel will calculate the rest, but it turns out isn't. So we need to assign another value of the size to it, because it's like percent is 100 percentage, so we just minus 100, using 100 to minus it. And this is just a good to have enhancement, and that's it. And I will, and also yesterday I did some UI changes. So let me start the server. So it's I just close off them, and then localhost 3000. All right. So I made some changes. So for the first is like I create a new, like I kind of redo the logo to have a single SVG, and now you have a matched fonts and the alignment, and I adding a little bit small header on top of each panel. And oh yeah, and I also like making the style of the divider a little bit subtle, rather than like two lines, and each of them are still like draggable. You can see them, and I think that's pretty much it. And like tweaking a little bit like pending or things. And for adding this header is like because later we would like to have more features on top of each section. So for example, for the editor, we will have tab for each files, just like this tab, just like the file tabs on VS Code. And for the preview, we would like to show the URL and the navigation, and probably a button to refresh the page. And for the terminal, it'll be the same. It's like we should provide a button to close that terminal, and also a button to and I lost my mind. Yeah, a button to kind of restart the server, and that's it. So so I didn't touch a lot of the logic here, because I would like to do it with you, so you can see how each refactor goes. And so talking about that, we have a new PR coming. So it'll be, there's a two. So one is to synchronize playground color mode from the parent, but the approach it took. Okay, so I think the original approach is to adding a Uno CSS, a full setup, like adding a color mode and Uno CSS inside this template, which I think isn't really ideal, because the reason I list here is like we don't want to introduce too much concept in the playground, because later we want to have different type of, like we want to demonstrate different features, and we don't want these modules kind of affect that's how it looks, like differ from what you have on the local. And also like we don't want adding actual dependency, because it kind make the installation slower. So I haven't checked the latest update, so I kind of review them, and uh they have a few changes. So I think we could go back to that later. And then we have another PR. It just did what I want to have, is adding a navigation bar uh, on the top, and that's great. And also, in order to do that, uh, I already reviewed a little bit, and in order to do that, you basically need to communicate with the friend uh, to add add event listener. This is the composable. Okay. So okay, inside the app, whenever use router, whenever a route changes, we kind of send message back to the parent and to notify we have a change. We have a change. So I just did a rough review, and so because this is a feature we're going to have, so let's just check into the code and see. So here we have the GitHub. And then for this 21, I can check out. It's called checkout. Check out pull request, and then we will just the branch will change to that. I'll just zoom in a little bit. All right, I'll close all the thing, and just in case, I will just. I think it doesn't touch anything, so I will just restart the server. So we go to the playground. All right. All right. You see that when we click it, the URL will changes. And can I add it? Okay. Nice. So if I type enter, it will do. And if I refresh the page, yeah, it's not very obvious, but I suppose it should work. So that's pretty nice. And I don't. I think for the functionality wise, I'm okay with that. But maybe for the design, I'm thinking that for the text box, it shouldn't be centered because it will kind having a little bit contention uh to what the character is. So I think we should keep it as left align, uh like just to align with the usual browser behavior. And I guess that's in that sense, I can just remove the preview text and just make the how do I say? Just make it align with that. So but I think functional wise, it should be fine. I'm not sure if this log is actually checking it, because yeah, I think this is funny because I'm not sure if this is really uh I feel it's hard coded. Let's check. I think it's just a button there. It's just an icon there. Okay. So it'll check if the URL is there. Yeah. So basically we'll have we're adding more feature, and we will having a backend forward button. And I'm not sure if we should differentiate about soft navigating and hard navigating, because currently if you do that, I think it's just assign a new URL to the iframe. That means the whole page will kind of restart. I think maybe that matches better with the browser's behavior. But when you do this, it's soft navigation. It's handled by view router, and it does not cause full page reload, so that's the global state will stay there. And yeah, So I think that's maybe, I think the log here would be a little bit confusing because wait, are we on HTTPS? Okay, it's actually HTTPS. So yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I don't think that's something we need to show. I think it's just more like uh I think it's just more like a good tool, but we don't need to define it's secure or not, because when the site is deployed, it should be deployed on HTTPS. So I guess the thing I could do, I think it's just like we can just make it the logo is here. So I could, maybe we can just remove here. So it'll be something like that. And oh, maybe. Mm. Okay, here. Okay, here it has the grid. So maybe we can just use flex. So we don't need to care about like how many column we have. And expy, is that having a max width? Yeah, I think it has a max width. Maybe. And I'm not sure if it's too small. Yeah, I think this just design wise change. The it's not that it's not that matter, I think. But I mean, we will definitely improve that as we go. And like for example, I'm not so sure about so it'll be px2 py or px4 py1. Yeah, I'm not so sure. So maybe that's just keep it simple. Uh, so what we could have is we just remove the lock button, which I consider is confusing, and we remove the text center line, and we kind of move forward. So we just keep that PR merged, and then later uh, we could see how we could refine that, because I think that's not that important. And all right, so we refresh the page. Uh, yeah, so if I type full, no, it's still not working. I'm still waiting. Okay, so now it's working. We probably need a button to go back and forward, and probably also another button to navigate, because also I'm not sure. Is that browser has you? Do you have they have a button? They don't have a button. Okay, not so sure. I was thinking about accessibility. Should you rely on enter to do this behavior, or should you have a kind of explicit button to navigate? But yeah, so let's just have it so we can iterate. Uh, all right. Okay, I think we can go back to the PR I already pushed. So all right, I think it's good to have. And we could change, we could improve that later. And yeah, okay. So let's check back to the main branch and pull the changes. Okay. So now we have it. One thing I would like to do is a kind refactor the whole structure a little bit. So what you I think what you see is like when I refresh the page, you see the right panel is just disappear because this is the playground component, and the tab is like inside the component, and the component is marked as a client component. It's adding dot client, so that it doesn't render at all on the server side. So what I want to do is like I want to keep the main frame as server side, server render, and I only make. I think we can only like initialize each block, like the editor block, the iframe block, and the terminal block separately on the client side. So basically, we will have a main frame like that, and while that the content of 3 tabs are initialized later. So and also we have all the logic of the playgrounds inside this how do I say that? Inside this component, which is something that we don't really want because it can couple the logic and make it hard to uh, how to configure, how to debug. And so I think I already did some. So for the pages here, I have a panel, and have a panel. The one we work is the vertical panel, and then it's the playground. And I want to divide these things. So for the content, I already extract them as a panel guide, and inside this panel, inside this playground, I already have a panel editor and a panel terminal. So ideally, I want to like make this mainframe service I rendered, and only the content of each tab as a client side. So yeah, what am I supposed to say? Yeah. So basically, we want to extract those things to be the another component. So we could do like panel. How do you say that? Friend. Or is that friend or preview? Preview. I think preview would be. Otherwise, it should be iframe. So so it'll panel preview. So what do you mean by modular architecture? I mean, I think I got it. It's like there is a lot of patterns you can follow, or there's a lot of tools you can use. But what I want to do is just because this is a full process of like it's very hard to explain. So I think that this is a full process. This is a process of like we doing it from scratch, and I kind not want to introduce too much concept at once, or doing too much like pre-optimization, because I think that would make it hard to understand at some extent. So we basically extract those things, and extracting we can copy it over. Yeah, splitting into all feature into different folder is interesting. It's like just divide by domain, but that will make things. I mean, that would make things a little bit harder to also explain and set up. So in Nuxt, we also wanted to have features like that. We already have layers, but layers is not useful for doing that because they has their uh, yeah. I think in general this is a thing that's a little bit hard to explain, and there's a lot of different opinions, a way of doing that, and then I think this is more like for a big scale of projects, so they do like isolation of the different domains or modules. But in our case, it's actually quite simple. So even though technically this is a bit, it's not easy, but I think in terms of the scale of the complexity, and this is not a super complex project to do. So um, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So um, I mean that's if we want to work on different styles, maybe later on another project. But for this project, I think we can just iterate from nothing without thinking too much about the architecture. And because you will never know that's what architecture you would need uh, without like having a good understanding of what you are trying to do. So here I think that's changing a little bit. So here if I extract those logic inside the panel preview, it becomes a problem because we need to share our stream object uh, back to the terminal, and this is controlled by the root. So I think ideally we might want to uh, find a way to passing that, or one way of doing that is pretty simple. We can just do like this. Is what do we have for this? Is to use state, and then we have a string, a terminal string. But that's temporary, I think. Uh, so I think we should introduce Pinia at this point. But that's focusing on the refactor for now. And we will, I think we will introduce Pinia right away. And this would be a writable string or readable string or undefined. So then we will have a string here. Oh, we have that ref. Did I create a server or not? Yeah, we do. I'm not sure why the type is missing, but here. Let's refresh and see if that will work. Okay, the stream works and the preview should work. Okay, starting. Okay, that's nice. And then we can actually remove this playground. Or another way around is we just change to main playground. And I want to make these things easier. So we just copy it. I'll just move this thing. So we will just use a main playground. So we can have all the panels inside these components. So that would be like here. And we can copy these things over and like this. So there will be a panel size guide. So we'll just change to guide. And this is panel size guide. This is panel size guide. And for the start jogging, that would be the same event, but for the end jogging, that would be a little bit different. So for end jogging, it will be vertical and horizontal. So for vertical, this would be this one. And for vertical, we will set the panel size editor, panel size guide to it. And then for the vertical one is here. So basically we have two speed panel, one for horizontal and one for vertical. And when they ended, we save different size. We save the size for different things because they're actually different position. And so in case of that, I think we also need to set the size of this. So it's basically 100 minus panel size editor minus panel size frame. So we call that frame here. Maybe we should change to preview. All right, the type is missing. That's pretty weird. It shouldn't. And okay, and then we can just remove all the things here because we no longer need it. So we just use this playground. So we kind of leave the pages clean and the logic will be in the playground. So the main playground will be like here. And let's go back to see if that works. Okay, self is not defined. Where is the self being referenced? That's weird. Okay, if I restart server, the type's getting probably a bug. Okay. Oh, because we just remove the dot client from the main playground because we don't want this to be client only. But then we forgot to add this preview to add client because I think stable is only work on the client, not in the. So I think ideally we can also have the terminal as client. So editor will be the client, preview, and terminal will be client. So when server-side render, we only server-side render the content. Did I miss anything? The main, the editor, panel preview, panel terminal. Okay. It doesn't work. Let me check what happened. Terminal requires a parent element. Okay. I think this is because that this returns a fragment. No, this is not returning a fragment. So how could that be? So this arrow is thrown by this path. Unmounted, it should be a root value, and the root should bind to this element, and it should work, isn't it? Okay, I guess that's probably because here we write the terminal, but well, the terminal is not yet available. So how can we solve that? I think we can move this watch back into the mounted. So requires a parent element. So not parent. So the root value is not there. How could that be? Because of this client? Okay. So yeah, xterm does fail, that means it needs to be a client module. Before this, it works because we have the whole playground as a client module, so it's not an issue. But now if we move this to client, we force this component to be client side component, and that means that the root dot value is not here. That's pretty weird. But if we do a kind of bit like old way, terminal root, and if we go document get element terminal root, would that work? It still not work. So let's check the source. So it is triggered by this line. So how come unmounted should fire when this is being serialized, being weird. So if we log these things, I don't think it should be. It should need a next tick, but I mean we could also try. I think the watch is not related, so we move it back. And so if we wait for another tick, so it'll be an async. Yeah. Oh, async. Okay. I'm not sure if this is a bug or not. I think this is due to that a bit like hydration issue. So I think I don't really mind to do that. But let's change back to root, and then we'll have root dot value. Yeah, so we don't need to add this element. It's root dot value. So one thing we could do instead is we can't watch once, and watch once for no, maybe it's watch, and we kind of watch until the root dot value is available. So if L, so we have this logic here, and we might do a stop. So after this being initialized, we stop it. So so the mark here, that is because this value can be undefined, and because before the element mounted, this is undefined, and after unmounted, it should be fulfilled. So what I'm doing this is a type assertion to say I know this is going to be defined, but it turns out it's not. So this is actually a dangerous move if you kind of being very straight in TypeScript. So you should always check if it exists. And but yeah, I mean that's why we have this problem. And but I think now it's fine. Yeah, okay. And at least it works. And then we want to, I think I want to extract this logic, this whole components about initialize uh, the dev server uh, back to something more reasonable. And I want to extract them to be in the composables rather than inside this like huge uh, view components. Well, it's not that huge, but I don't want to the UI to be coupled with the logic. So here we already have a playground. Uh, so yeah, basically there's a lot of things to do. So the first is like we can have a Pinia, and we can have a refactor logics. So let's do it in the README. So we have a to-do list. So you will know that's what we should work on. So it's Pinia. So Pinia would also be part of the refactor. It's like a refactor to add Pinia, refactor logic to composables, and client like it's like, how do I say that? It's like friend to parent communication. So this is already doing some bit of like update pass and sending message, but this is two way. This is one way, and also it's only sending one event. It's not something. Uh, I think that's something that I would like to refactor in order to make it robust and easy to work with. And also, I think this is not without types. So basically, it's not that easy to use. I mean, it's not easy to maintain in the long term, as we might also want to do more logic rather than only the pass, because I think we might want to kind know what is going on inside it, because if we have the guide here to say we can ask you to write a component, for example, and we may have some logic to verify if the component is being created or something. So we can do, okay, yeah, Papa, yeah, you pass that and you go to another thing. So basically we want to have a little client inside this frame, and to communicate back with the parent. So that's something we are going to do as well. Logic is yeah. And also have a way to synchronize the basic style. And buttons to restart server, something like that. So I think that's the, oh yeah, and the text editor, the Monaco editor. So I think we need to find some order to it to show the most progress. We think we could go Monaco, so that we can have a full loop. So even though it's like the code is not good or the experience is not good, at least we can have this functional, and then you can play with it. Or or better is like if we do the refactor first, so it'll be easier for the later to add features. So yeah, I'm not super sure. What do you want? Yeah, what to work on? I think both, like, all the direction is is valid. I didn't know there is a Nuxt Monaco module. Let me search for it. Monaco. I was thinking to build it from scratch, but I don't know how customizable it is. Okay, it looks okay, but I think maybe it's better for us to build it from scratch. That is because we also want Vola integration for Monaco to understand Vue and also do something about it. So I think this looks like there is not that customizable. I mean, it can be easy to use because you just install a module and it works. But I think we want a little bit more uh, capability inside it, and yeah. But I think that's a good code base that we can consider. No, Code Mirror is not an option for me because we want to have a TypeScript support and TypeScript support for Vue as well. So I think it has to be Monaco in order to have enough feature, like rich enough feature to have this playground. Yeah, even though I know that Code Mirror will be lightweight and quite customizable, but I think for here, I think we need more power here rather than something that just an editor. But we will see. And I'm not sure that's how we can connect it the TypeScript uh with the web container either. Yeah, the I think the SFC View playground is now using Vola to do the type tracking, and it's based on Monenco. And I think we can also check that code. Uh, I would like to see what's the package it use. It used nothing. How could it be? It's all on CDN? Download. Okay, so you see it's a Vue repo and Monenco editor. So that means it's an external project, I think. Here. I have a code mirror editor and Monenco editor at the same time. Okay, that's insane. So we can use this directly? Ah, yeah, probably not. Because this introduces a Vue runtime URL. This is like having Vue running at the browser. Well, that's what we have is like Vue is running inside the stack base with Nuxt. So I think we can probably take some part of it for sure. So I think we can take the Monancore here, the Vue worker. Okay. It may not be that bad to implement, I guess. So it will be like, okay, less than 200 lines. It's Monanco editor core and Monanco Vola. Yeah, that's exactly what we want. And load grammar, load sing, and okay. That's pretty. I think that's a pretty solid foundation that we could reference to, but definitely not going to use it because this is purely based on runtime. But yeah, I think this is something we need. It's basically the create worker and the worker from view language, which is from Vola, and host. It's just like this. I think this is pretty useful language ID. And for this like UI, like this how files being resolved is a little bit tricky. And yeah, this is a big task. So I guess they can take weeks to implement better if we doing it all on streaming because we can't have limited time on live streaming. So I think that uh, I think maybe we could have a like a very bare bone, like we can have a text uh we can have a text area to add these things to at least make it playable. I think yeah, let's do it. So we don't do Monaco first. We make it works first, and then we have Monaco as a good to have scene. And I think we definitely eventually going to do it, but I think at least we should get it working, and then uh later we could improve that. We can have kind of more confident about like working on different things. So here so the first is like let's do it a basic editor. So we want to ensure that in the step list we have the capability of doing hard module replacement, and I think that's important. So editing and saving a file. Okay, so we have web container instance and the write files and the content. Add listener. Okay, yeah, this is pretty straightforward. And voila, voila. And okay, I think that's something we could do. So like I think we can do these two together. So basically we want to extract those logic outside of the view SFC and make it composable. And then we add the capability of editing files. So the first thing let's do, I think let's make use playground. Hmm. Okay, so I think that's first we just remove the function out of here. So start dev server. We can remove it. We can just copy it here. So let's put it into the playground, and then we export it, and then we have some unreferenced things, iframe location, something like that. So we basically have use on use playground and iframe location uh, like that, right? Status, where status? Okay, so we have these different things together, and we move it here. Wait, and I think we can merge these two function together, and okay. So start dev server. So I don't want it to be an async module, but so yeah, let's flat them out. So we don't use playground, but we instead we just initialize them here. So I think we want to explore all these things and while keep this running. So I think this would be, think about it. So, okay. Uh, so we can start that server. So we can start playground, start container, start playground. Let's start playground. And then we basically want all the things from start playground. And what I want to have is to mount. Yeah. So then I probably just use playground. That would be better because we are not actually started. We're doing to mount, and the mount will be an async function that handles all the async thing. So we can do like to be a little bit clear. So it will be something like that, and uh, then we will have the status, the URL, and I think we will have a little bit things here under the refresh iframe. So iframe is here, input URL is here, direction. So this is undefined. Yeah, this is undefined, and that's it because use playground is no longer here. So so we basically have something like here. So ideally we want to have iframe location, URL, and then status. So yeah, okay. So this is something we want to expose from this function, and we change this to here, and we don't want to have async composable here. But then there will be a lot of like async is not working, right? So we just making it internal async function, async mount. Oh, yeah, async function. And here. And then we return it all the things here. And iframe location. So we can refactor that later, but I think that's basically it. So wait, again. Okay, I think we need to move all these things inside this mount. Okay, and then we can remove the asynchronous thing. Okay, types working. Yeah, I support the playground would working. All right, and there's a lot of naming we could change, and iframe location. So let me check what it is. So this is a button to refresh iframe, and the web container URL will be like this. So yeah, let's do it as a preview URL. Okay, so you can compose with the it's a dynamic one. It composes with the iframe location, and so basically we don't want to change the origin, and I think that's nice. And okay, we assign it here. So I think we still want to export that. I think we should just call it preview location preview UI to be more consistent. Okay, And then we have preview location and preview URL. Yeah, so input, okay, input URL. Okay, like that. So at least we do some refactor. Now it works. Okay. Refactor. And then I would like to have a little bit of, I would like to have a bit like virtual file system, because what should I suppose to say? Yeah, because you see that when you want to write back to files, is actually you want to specify the web container fs write file, and this is not I mean, this is not very convenient because it kind of separate our real content with the file. So I would like to have something like I think for let's do it as data structure. So I'm thinking to have a file class. So what I imagine is has a file path property, and it can write. So it's new content like this, and it'll be to do, right? And it can read, I guess. But while that the content itself is actually inside the memory, so we could have a private content that shouldn't be changed out in the outside, and then read it. We can returns a file, a web container. So it's basically like this. So it's basically like this file system tree, and what the file is file node. So we basically want file node. Oh, I'm not sure if we can implement that thing. I'm not sure if this is something that's okay to use. So if we implement that file node, and if we put something like that, file, and then I'm not sure if those things will be serialized into stateless. I mean, if we pass this instance of this class into these things, would that add more workload to this thing? Or I'm thinking that we can just return a file node. I think that might be better. I think that might be safer. So it basically to say we return a file that's content will be this content, something like that. Or to file node, to be more specific. And if we do read, it will be returns this content. And we probably need also a constructor with the web container. So it will be web container instance, so something like that. And then if I just say that in TypeScript, and if you do public or private here, it actually make these things as a property. So here you can say this the web container, the file system, the write file, and data content, new content, and then we can save this content equal to content and await for it. Yeah, it's a promise. It's a promise. So that would be the same as this. Okay. So we could have something like that, and having a web container here, and so it will be like file path string, and what did I say? Content string. So to make it safe, we can have a content here. The file path can be a public read-only thing. Read-only. So we don't need this thing. And to pass the web container instance, I'm thinking to wrapping it to providing more context. But I'm not yet very sure about it. So I mean, we can start from here, and so we have the write function, we have a read function. Yeah, to node file dot to node. Okay. I think we can do it, and then we basically kind changing the how these files being initialized. So that's the structure that I would like to have. And while how the data being initialized is something I would like to work on a little bit as well. So here you see this is pretty, I mean, a bit like chunky, and also like this is kind inferring the path is not very elegant to me. So what I'm thinking is like I should put it inside here. So basic TS. So it should just grab the files like that. So we'll have a template, we have a basic, so we can just import that. That would be nice. And I think ideally later we would like to kind of directly generate those things. What I want to say. Yeah, I want to write a Vite plugin or something to kind of serving a virtual module to serve those files instead of relying on import metaglobe, which is like here you need to keep it as lector in order to do in order to make it work. So I think that's so what I'm thinking is like let's just move those things to this file. So we can call it utilities. And this is a bit like templates utilities. And from here, I would like to changing a little bit. This is the this is the raw input, right? So I'm thinking is that so for this thing, maybe we can have it as a nullable. So I'm not sure. Like maybe we just do it like this. Because we can still write the contents because it's like serving in the memory. And if the web container instance is provided, we could uh, we could handle that later. Uh, otherwise, hmm, otherwise, sorry. I mean that's we can initialize the file first, and then later we could assign this web container instance back to it. So we don't need to concern about like passing this argument, because when the right function, the right method is not being called, it's just we don't need it actually. So uh yeah, good structure from command is like you can do it as a private. So like this, so you don't need this. So I can just have still have a dash beforehand in order to make sure it's a private thing. I mean, you can use this thing, I guess. Oh, you cannot do it like this. So if you want to do the private uh, like this, yeah, this is a new syntax here, but I don't feel I need to do that, because I control these things and I don't want to be a real private. I think it's just on the type level it's private. It should be good to good for me. And so here I would like to kind of initialize all the files here. So I think the raw import will be like that, and to files it will be from entry. So it's just like object uh, entries. So raw input, raw input. So we will basically have path and the content, right? And then we can actually replace. Uh, so to be safe, we can use a regex to make sure it's starting from that, and then we replace that. So this is the file. So we return a new file, and okay, that will also do. Uh, so, but the file, just be aware that this file is not the file we want, because there's a global file in the browser, and so basically we need to explicitly import it from like this. And wait, why I'm not getting TypeScript? I think it may be because of like include workspace too. Okay, that's something we would like to have. So this is the list of all the files. So to make it better, I think we can wrap it as a function to say load, load files. So it can be called multiple times with a clean state. Otherwise, we kind of mutating those things. So we have raw files, and we can have it as we can still have this container file system, while that's we kind of base on these files and it can be reactive. I'm not sure if it can be reactive, but oh, if I need to be reactive, there's a way you can do it. It's here. You put a getter here. That's that feels a bit okay. How can I do it? So basically, you need to have a self here equal to this, and you have a self here. Is that still accessible? Yeah, this is something I would like to do. Yeah. So this, like, every time you read it, it actually get it from the real source. I don't know. I think this pattern is interesting. I never thought about it. So back to our files. I think basic here. So now we have a list of files. So we have the globe here. Oh, which I think we need to import it from utilities, and we can change that implementation. So basically now we have a list of files. Or maybe I think maybe we can just leave it not in the composable, but it's more like I think we can just move it to the top level. I think I need to group it later, but I haven't find a good name for it. But basically like that, and utilities you have import file like that. So the files is not like this again. So again we just we can just iterate the files, and the files will be like that, and file path. And file path will equal be to node, and here file path to node. So now we can build a tree, and we can rename these files to web container tree. Just file system maybe is better. Container. So basically we have tree, and we have files, and I can return file and trees. So I suppose that should work. And here we just import, sorry, here we import this file. So ideally later we can have a template here, and taking any template we want, but now we can have import from templates basic. So as load files, maybe it's just load template, and then we have load template, right? And then we have files and trees. Tree equal to here, this thing, and we remove that, and we don't use the files yet, but we have the tree. So let's check if the tree works. I guess it might break. Okay, it works. Okay, it works. Then it's pretty nice. So then we can have files. So once we have the web container thing, so we can have files for each, and we assign this web container instance to the files. And so later it can be like write it. So now we expose these files to something like here, and also I think we need a state export function use global playground. That's it, just like that. I think we'll definitely refactor that into Pinia for better yeah, I kind of lost my mind. But why would I do that? Yeah, the reason I want to do it is to share the files to the tab. So yeah, so basically we don't need these things for global playground. So we will have a playground, and the type of playground would be like explore type playground. Sorry, playground instance equal to return type and type of use playground. So this will be a inferred type that always having all the types here, and it depends on what you return, and it will infer the types. So here we could have like that, and we only infer the type. So, and actually we can kind of ignore the term. We can just remove the terminal string now, because in the components terminal here, where is it? Oh no, it's in the playground. It's in the main playground. So we basically don't need this. We need a playground. So use global playground, and inside the preview. Okay, it's not a very good practice, but playground equal to here, and then we kind of have playground the value the use playground. Yeah, use playground. Then I think it might be make sense to rename it as create playground. And then we can have the playground and create playground. And we can have some the original structure to make it easy to work with, and equal to playground dot value. The type is not working very well. I'm not sure if it's because of this. Let's try to remove it. Use terminal string. Yeah, so we don't need this. We just need or undefined. Create playground, create playground. The type is not there. Create playground, use global playground. So the type is not being inferred. Okay, it's create playground, yeah. So then you have the playground, and you have the playground string. And that's it. This is knowable already. Okay. Yeah. Because this is a riff, and because it's nested, so the riff will not be unwrapped automatically. So let's see if the playground breaks. Yeah, that's totally expected. It breaks. Reading full path. Okay. That's not something I where is it? So yeah, sorry, here. So so it syncs its previous location, and it says full path is not available. Let's check the definition of this thing. So it's returns, into returns. Is that because? Yeah, I think that's because the use state is not, the use state is deep. It's uh so here, I think what I need to do is probably use state. I think there's a, we just introduced a option, an option. Nope. Wait, what? I think it's something we need to do it, and it should be created by shallow ref rather than a ref. And I think in order to work around with it at this moment, we could do a shallow ref. Where is it? Yeah, I'm jumping too fast. Yeah, here. I think we assign a ref to it. So basically, we say here. Sorry. Here we can create a shallow ref in order to kind not allows it to be okay. Oh, maybe here. I think it's here. So if we do a shallow ref with undefined, okay, I think that would do. So if we create a shallow ref, we opt out that original use states behavior, and that means it should work now. Yeah, it should work now. Should I explain that a little bit later, a little bit deeper? If I'm not sure if it's a little bit confusing. I think it works, right? No, it doesn't work. The terminal is not there. Yeah, I'm not yet sure. Okay, the preview is here, but the terminal is not here. So why the terminal is not here? That is probably okay. Let me think about it. So in the playground, let me fix it. If I fix it, then we can talk about that's why. If I remove this value, will it work? Would that work? No, the terminal is not. So we basically have playground. We can print it. It doesn't show up. If I just okay, the playground is not that reactive. So if we do playground preview URL, okay, it's not reactive. It's not what I want. So it should return a ref, right? And in here, we assign it to be a new value, and ideally it should affecting the state up on the top. But the preview is not is no actually. So it's basically if we do if it's now, so we will just it's no, and then we have a playground like that. So you see it's printing now because it's not reactive at all. So that's diving into Nuxt implementation of use state. I mean, I think we are about to give up on use state. We are using Pinia, and let's see. So yeah, just try. Let me try to explain now a little bit. So basically, so here is a view playground. Is very simple. So you will have A, like it's 1, and you will have a B, and which is 2, for example. And so here, if I do, it will be A, equal to A and B equal to B, right? And we could have a button to say we click and A++, and then this I can have an increase. So basically, when you click it, A will increase, B will not increase. That's how reactivity works, right? And if I have a C, and usually if you put a reactive, and then you put A and B. So even though like okay, let's try. So it's a plan object would be A A and B. So const. So if we do like this, okay, it still works. But if you do A, oh, but I'm surprised it works. But basically, the type will be if you yeah, let's try log it. So if we log plan A, so you see that Vola is adding dot value automatically, and if you do like that, so you got a 1, right? And but if you remove the value, it actually returns a ref. It's a ref object. But the difference here is like if you put it in the reactive, and if you do c dot a, it will just works, and there's no c dot value. I suppose. Let's do it. Yeah, you see, this is undefined. So there's no c dot value because reactive unwraps the values automatically. So the same as ref. So ref will be a little bit different because if you want to access the value of ref, you do like dot value, right? And you see that this is the value is a epoxy and something like that. But and then if you do a, you see this, you got the value regardlessly if a is actually a ref. And then if you do a dot value, it doesn't make sense. It's still like undefined. But sometimes we want to keep it as a ref. We don't want view to unwrap it automatically. So that's where we use shallow ref. So shallow ref, that means it's only changes when the c value with c dot value is changes. So if we do a c value dot a, you actually got the ref. But if you do c dot value, it's actually have the value. So when you changing the a dot value, it doesn't change the c. It doesn't trigger the changes to c, but you only trigger the c dot value when you assign a new object to it. So that's how it works. So shallow ref kind bail out the nettest reactivity thing. So it says, okay, I'm stopping here. So inside I don't care. I don't have any reactivity to that. So you can put anything. You put anything, that will serve as is. So the problem we are facing here in our code base is use state is actually kind deeply merging those things to, well, that's for the use where for the use playground we have we actually returns a bunch of ref, and we want to keep it as a ref so we can destruct them. We can destructure them later. So so ideally this should be ref rather than being being unwrapped automatically. So let's check with the use states Nuxt implementation. So so here if you have a key, you have an init, and so the key will be like this, and toRef. So toRef will be the key, and use state. So the payload state is actually a giant reactivity state, and this is so toRef is actually creating a ref. So the reason I was passing a shallow ref is it here it checks if it's a ref. So if it's a ref, it doesn't care it's a shallow ref or ref. It's just checking it's a ref. So actually, should I say ref as a deep ref? So it's a deep ref and shallow ref, and its ref only check if its type is ref. And here, if the passing initial value is a shallow ref, it's just passing away. It's just like passing through. So that means the value we take control of it. Otherwise, it's assign a value to these things. And because this thing is a shallow, this thing is a deep reactivity. So that means this value will gain the reactivity because you got this value. So I'm not sure why this is still a thing. And another way to do that, to bail out the reactivity unwrapping, is to mark it as row. So I think maybe that would be easier, maybe easier to understand. So here, if we do like mark row, this is from view as well, and this tell view to say this objects I want to keep it as is. Don't touch anything inside of it. So every time view see this object, it'll just say this is just an a bit like literal, a bit like number 1 or 2. We don't go deeper. This is just an atom. It's like a bit like cell, but it's like it's not. It's a bit like object frozen. So sometimes you would, when you have a large chunk of data, you can, that doesn't change, you can do object frozen. So either the view or the Chrome engine, the browser engine will not consider it as it will change. So that can be actually faster. And for marking row, it's not. It's just like for view to know this is like just ignore it. So in that sense, we may not really need this. We can just have it as like that. I hope that will work. Okay, you see? Yeah, it's no longer null, so it's printing something. So I think that's better way to do it. And to get around with the limitation of use state. So here we can just comment it back. I think that's supposed to work now. Yeah, you see the contents there. Yeah. So so that's it. So I think keep marking row would be safer. And also for later, if we migrate to Pinia, we have the same concern when it's deep or not. So if we mark row, it's like every time it's always like that. So we don't need to worry about that. So yeah, did I explain that well? Oh, do you have any questions? I can just answer it, and otherwise we can move forward about the topic we're going to do. Yeah, I can show you the view mark row doc. I'm not sure if you have heard of this this API. Sorry, let me change to black. And yeah, I think in general, you should use shallow ref more often. Every time you can, actually. So in the view core team, internal discussions, we were even thinking about like kind like reverse these things, like making the default ref as shallow, and we kind of remove shallow ref. We kind of introduce a new ref called deep ref. But I mean, one thing is like the compatibility. We don't want to do it. And the other thing is like deeply reactive is actually more aligned with the mindset of Vue2. So we think that having the default reactive and the ref function to be deep make more sense for people coming from Vue 2. And because like when you assign a value to in the data or this object in Vue 2 or the options API, all the things are deeply reactive. And so we didn't do it. But I think with the vapor mode, we will probably, yeah, that's another thing. But we were thinking to introduce a new API called Signal, but this is still like just very early stage. So I think that would be served a little bit more similar to shallow ref, and with a new API, you don't you don't have the confusion with the API, with the behavior, and so we are not going to change the default behavior, of course. So if the ref will be looking like this today, we are not going to change it. But if we want to change the default, we're adding a new API, and we will changing all the guide to introduce you to use the new API. But I mean that's just me like talking fast. So nothing is settled yet. So I'm just talking about the possibility. So I think in general, if you know you don't rely on this deep reactivity behavior, I think I would suggest you to use shallow ref and shallow reactive more. Um, yeah. So here is like an explanation. So like marking row is like just to opt out the reactivity for both view and for both ref and the reactivity. Okay. Yeah. I think that's okay. Yeah. I wasn't expect to do so, but I'm happy like adding one more purpose of my live streaming. So initially I was just saying, okay, I'm building these things and I just like live streaming that, you know. But yeah, I'm surprised I'm serving a little bit like uh also like explaining things, uh a bit like educational content. Yeah, I'm happy if that helps you to understand better about Vue. And uh I think in general for JavaScript I'm happy to do it. And that probably can make my live streaming more useful or more rewarding, I guess. So yeah, so I think this should be clear now. Or uh, yeah, you can just check the documentation or do the experimenting yourself a little bit more. And I think we'll just move to the project itself. And again, like feel free to bring up any question if you have, and I'm happy to explain. And now we are working. Now it's working. So here that's added to do. So in case to migrate to Pinia. Yeah, I mean these things is definitely not elegant to me. We shouldn't do this thing. We shouldn't do this thing, but let's see. So at least it works. So the reason I introduced this is uh to get the editor working. So let's say to be a little bit easier, uh we could do define props. And yeah, I think we need a playground here. Or maybe let's just keep the interface small. So it just files and file, and it'll be like this, and it'll be an object. So the editor. So we could put we could just say files dance files passed in. And then you'll see it's I think it's break because we didn't pass the files. So I think we can probably making it yeah, I think we can do like props and with default. So I think at least we can have a default value to it, files, and this. Okay, and then we have pops, and so it doesn't fail, right? So it's 0 file passed in because we never passed the pops. So and here in the main playground, we are holding the playground instance. Yeah, the reason why we initialize the playgrounds inside the preview is because this is a client-side component. If we do like this, if we do playground dot value create playground like that, it will breaks, I suppose. Yeah, it will breaks because window is not defined. Because on server side, this is not, it's not a thing. It shouldn't happen. You shouldn't call it on the server side. And while these components runs on both server side and the client side, so we shouldn't do it. We should only do it in the client component. So if you want to make it very sure, so you don't need to accidentally import this file, you can do like if process server, and then you can throw this file should not be imported in the server. And yeah, to be more modern, you should use meta.m. Yeah, just import meta. So so yeah, it works, right? And if you adding here like this, will that work? Yeah, and you see this file shouldn't be imported in the server. So it's actually a guide, a guardian for yourself to know that what is working on client and what is working on server side. So this is a bit tricky. I mean, this is something that we need to deal with while it's actually not as important, I think, because if you do like full SPA, if you don't care about server side render, you don't need to deal with this stuff. It's all the things is running on a client. But again, that's the reason why we have server side render enabled is I don't want to lose the capability of doing that. In case maybe for the SEO, we want to have this content rendered. Well, not the playground, but we have the guide. We can pre-render it on the server side, so it's better for SEO. But I mean, the SEO is not that important to us, to this particular playground. But I assume that in some cases you might work on some project that you have partial server side render and partial client side render. So this also like I'm trying to demonstrating you to say how you can do it. And actually I would even create a kind of client and maybe server like that component folders and draw different things inside it, so it's better. You can better know that's how it works. You can better kind of differentiate how it works. Yeah, and that's it. So I'm not doing it right away, but I think eventually we might do it. And so again, back to here. So we want to put in the files here. So we have the editor, right? We have files. So we just assign the files. It's files just the files, right? And you see, okay, this now is say 10 files passed in. So let's make a very basic editor maybe. So we can say the selected file equal to like this, and we don't need a null. We can use undefined, which by default is like ref files or undefined, so it's fine. And then we can have we can basically have a list here. So to be simple, we could have a grid, and with that, and then we can have columns, and then we have 1 friend to 2 friend, and then we have a list. So the list will be that's make it as a button. So okay, it's doing this for me. File path and file path. So that's a list of button, and when you click it, it will just set this current file to it. And then on the right, we have the editor and text editor, selected file content. So we probably don't want this binded because this is not available here. So we want to have a value. So yeah, I think we might want to have this input just like a string. So so we basically bind input to it. Sorry, vModel and input. And we could have a function to say select file and file. So basically we have selected file value to file, right? And we can change that to select file. So selected file, yeah, sorry, selected file. And what do we do is like we put input value dot select files dot read. What is that? Oh, sorry, I'm just confused. To read it. So we got the content. So we could check. So if we click it, okay, we see the content, you see, but it's not good looking. So what we could do is like a background, we can do transparent, and then we can have a for width, for height, pending for. Anyway, we're going to replace that very soon. So I'm just doing it as a bit like, anyway, just make it working. And we probably need font mono. So yeah, here we have the editor, here we have the files, and the files here, let's just do it a little bit more. I wouldn't spend too much time on it, but h4 OF stands for overflow, so overflow, yeah, overflow auto, so it can be scoreable. And then we have a little bit of pending, and when it's hovered, we have background active. I think that's pretty much it. Okay, yeah, it's not flex column. Okay, so we have all the files here, list here, and we can select it. That's pretty nice, and I probably don't want it to be aligned with like that, so we can text that. Okay, that's pretty good. And px2 py1. So what I want to test is to see if I change the text, it will be reactive. So oh yeah, I haven't write the logic. So whenever the input changes, we didn't write back to the file system, right? So what we could do is debounced watch, I think. Oh no, is that we can do is sorted watch. And this is from view use, by the way. And if it's a selected file, what's that? Why there's no matching code? It's not timeout, I think. It's throttle. And we can have 500, for example. 500 is like half a second. So every time it changes half a second, it will save. And if it's end value, I'm not sure if that works. Okay, I think immediately shouldn't work, shouldn't have it. Or yeah, because this here, you will trigger the watch actually, and this is not the thing we want to have. So I think maybe we could have, instead of a watch, we could have a function to say input, like on text input. So that would be an event. I'm not sure what's the type of the event, but that's console login on type input, and then we can have here adding an event input. Okay. I'm sorry. We'll finish this, and I will answer your questions. Yeah, and what do we have here? So if we add something, okay, when we change things, we see there's a input events, and that's nice. So at least we know this type is input events, and in the input events, we should write it back. So basically, we'll say selected file, and if it's there, we write it back, and yeah, selected file. I'm keep using this thing for some reason. And if input value not equal to null, and yeah, I don't actually need these things. So so here let me do it to do add throttle. So yeah. So here, let's check if that would work. Yeah, this is not fast. We should definitely optimize it. So here, hello. Yeah, you see, this is great. We have that. Yeah, we have that We have that what do you say? Hard module replacement. That's very nice. And later we'll replace it as a Monaco with a TypeScript support. But at least we got the full loop, so it works, and we can select the files. Yeah, really nice. Whoa. So we can have oh. Yes, that's very nice. Okay, and so to add a little bit is like I can have a class to say so text primary equal to when the file is equal to selected file. Maybe you just do file path. Yeah. And then when we select the file, at least we know it's on that file. Yep. So on the left, on the file tree, we should replace it. We should rework it as a real file tree, so it can be expandable or close, collapsible, collapse. collapsible. And yeah, and here the right we should put on, we should change to Monaco. And I'm not sure if we should implement the tabs, and because you can directly use this as a tab, but I think it depends. Or maybe in the integration part we can have a toggle to say if you want to enable this feature or not. Otherwise I think it should be fine. And yeah, I think we can commit it. So basically saying is like here to do replace with Monaco with a real file tree. So yeah. All right, I'll push my code. So okay, it's been another 2 hours already. I feel that's we are not progressing enough. What I have done for 2 hours for this editor. Yeah, I think there's a quite many refactor I would like to do. There's a lot of things we can improve. Yeah, and yeah, so I'll answer your questions a little bit. So the difference between ref and the shallow ref, I think I already explained that. And maybe you can go back to read again to check again. And if I miss anything, I can explain that later. And okay, about the pops here. So so there's the multiple ways of defining pops. So this is one way. This is type only plus with default. So what I mean type only is so by type I mean here like this. Wait, what? Okay. Yeah, the ESLint does not allow me to do it. So I will just create a new file to do it. So here is the so it's type declaration, and what you see is like the bracket is here is inside a generic, and there is a bit like object declaration with defineProps. You see it's like this. A little bit different is here. So without the with default it will be look like this. So a little bit different is like I guess you can do it like this. But you don't have the type. You don't have the exactly type of that file. So if you do, you will ask pop types as this, and you import the type from this. This is another way of doing that. And so this is type declaration with default, and this is object declaration with default. You don't need with default. You don't need with default with type with declaration here. And so it will be like this. I'll just copy it. Actually, you already saw that, and like that, and then you have type like this. So the reason why you have a little arrow function to this default is because I think it's more like a legacy. No, it's not a legacy. It's not how view compiles. So maybe let's go to a view playground to see if that is the case. So if we do like this, so pop type, you should import pop types, right? It's not pop types. I think it's pop type, or maybe it asks you to Is that a thing? Really? Oh, it's not a thing. It's because I missed the TypeScript language here. I guess you don't need to do it. Yeah, you don't need to do it. Basically this is a runtime, right? But you bear in mind that defineProps is actually a compile time micro. So that means that doesn't work like that. It's more like a kind of magical that's compiler doing. And so here, if you see the JS, it's being compiled JS. It's passing into pops. So the indentation here is not great, but you see the pops is here. So this is matching as this. So this is the pops. And the reason why there's a arrow function here is you have to create a new instance of an object. So what I mean is this is basically JavaScript, how JavaScript works. So if you have a like you have an object, like say, we have a component, and we have pops, right? And if we have the files to be an object, sorry, an array, right? And we can create new components, but actually you see that components would look like this. So you have the object, but if you do ones like pops, oh yeah, it's like so for example, like your pop the files equal to components.pops.file, right? And files you can push a inside, and that makes sense because the files now is the something you want, but then it's actually mutated back to the components, which is not something we would like to have, because you see when I export it, it becomes like this. So if I kind JSON string file and files, sorry, components, and now to I mistyped it. So here, wait, what? Yeah. Anyway, you got a point. It's like it's actually mutating back to our default value. So that's why we have the a function, so that every time you can get a new instance. So so now the files becomes like this. So when I creating a new file instance, it'll be like that. So files too. If I push, yeah, I think you got a point, right? So for files too, I have the array, but it doesn't change back to the components. I didn't mutate it back. So that's the reason why you have these things, and that's the same for anywhere. It's like if you are initializing an object, you also need to do it like that. So is that clear? Oh, and I also saw that you are asking about this thing, right? And so that's I can actually compress like configurations inside these different files, and I think here is not very obvious, but it's yeah. So basically, it's just trying to hide all the unnecessary things here. So to have this is a file nesting VS Code. So yeah, I have it's more like a configuration because this is a feature that VS Code provides, but it just like allows you to collapse a lot of like related configurations into a single file. So here is like when I writing a Vite app, I'm more caring about that how Vite works, and I don't really most of the time I don't really need to concern about contributing .md. It's like I read it once, or if I'm author, I write it once. I don't need to care about it. So it's like just hiding all those things inside README, and that's the same category. And so this thing is actually all this configuration is generated So you don't need to install the extension. The extension is more like an updater. You can just copy it over and paste it into your configuration. It will work. This is a built-in VS Code feature, but you need to configure that's how you can collapse those files. And there is also a VS Code extension. If you are lazy or you want to keep it up to date, you can install this extension, and it will fetch it. It will pull in like once a few days, and it will get updates if there is a new PR merge. But uh, but yeah, that's how it works. So if you are interested, you can install it, and that's it. So I think I pushed the commit. What I did. Okay, this is something that I was just demonstrating. So don't save, close all, don't save. All right. So actually I have the energy to continue working on these things, but we're already hitting 2 hour. Would you like to have another hour? Yeah, I don't mind myself because I kind of really I get excited. I get excited when I'm working on new project or like working on a project that you have a lot of things to do. So so that means like okay, we have the basic editor, and we have this, and now we can do Pinia, right? And we can do Monenko. It's like it's pretty clear. So what I don't like is something that I don't know how to do it, and uh, this is I think it's like you I I think it's like human nature, but to me it's more like you like challenging stuff, but it's not too hard that you cannot even imagine or understand what is happening. But it cannot be too easy, otherwise you will feel boring. So it should be like in the middle. It's like a little bit challenging, but it's also very clear that's what you're going to do. So I kind of like that. So uh, it's really hard for me to say, okay, now I'm not doing streaming. I'm not allowed to touch this project until next streaming. So yeah, uh, so I think that's work on Pinia. I think I'm already a little bit painful in terms of like how we share the state between different components. So let's do it maybe. And yeah, to be fair, I I have never used Pinia, so uh, I would learn with you, or by the way, you should check a little bit like advertisement. So it's like mastering Pinia. So this is a course uh like made by my friend Eduardo, and he's also the author of Pinia. So trying to explain you more detailedly about how to mastering Pinia. Yeah. So I think I should buy it. I should buy it to learn it. But uh but yeah, maybe later, because let's check the docs first. So let's see if I can learn it from docs. So basically what I know is Nuxt has a specific integration. You have to install uh, the Nuxt module, and in order to get it work, because you have to handle some kind of like server side render stuff and the other things, and the Pinia modules handles it. So we should do it. So we can terminate the server, and then we can npx. It's npx nuxt module add. So it's Pinia. Oh wait, let me show you something. So actually, you don't need to type that. Yeah, I should mention it. Whoa, what happened? Is that because my cross origin? Oh. Can I? Can I do like that? I mean, I don't care, right? Okay, okay, sure. And now you have the view dev, the Nuxt dev tool. I actually, uh, this is actually my main project for the past months, and I haven't show you on live streaming. So I mean, there's a lot of things moving on, so I'm probably not going to explain them by piece. But what I just want to show you is like here you can type the you can click the module tab, and you can install a new module. You can search for it, and I don't know, ironically, like Pinia is on the top, so let's install it. So it will tell you that what is going to happen is it will run this command for you, and it will update this Pinia slash Nuxt to your configuration. You're just adding this line telling you this, and you just install it, and you see that's okay. Install Pinia, and you can there's a terminal, and after install it, it just restart the server, and yeah, we have the Pinia. We have the Pinia here. And yeah, that's it. So you don't need to type the command, you don't need to remember the command. And yeah, I just forgot to show you different ways of installing modules. Of course, you can stick with the old way, no problem with that. And okay, so this something I actually don't understand those headers. So usually you should have a bit like more relaxed header on top on it, but like I think it forces you to change to the send origin and required cross. I'm not sure if it's required cross is something like that. So I'm not sure if like changing to wildcard would help that. Would break. Uh, I'm not sure if that would break step place. If it's not break, I'll just keep it as it to make it simple. Would that work? Oh, it doesn't work. Cross origin isolated. So it has to be like that. But it breaks. Okay, let's learn it a little bit. So at least I know that's how you can get web containers working together with Nuxt dev tools. Uh, unsafe now, required crops. I don't think it's this thing. Maybe it's opener. If I add into this. Okay, this is still required, but it doesn't open already. Whoa. That's pretty tough. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I will. So you can only access certain feature like shared array buffer with all those two exactly header. Okay, that's pretty cool. It's but I mean, how come I'm not able to? If I put cross origin, would that work? Wait, where is it? So if I cross origin, I don't know. Okay, that's another topic I need to figure it out. That's pretty weird. Uh, I I I suppose there's a way for them to work together, and but I'm not super sure because I'm pretty I'm pretty new to this thing. So, but anyway, so we have the Pinia instance, and That's uh that's working with Pinia. Wait, did I? Why there is not? Why is being reverted? Oh, because I changed these things. I can't revert. Okay, anyway, I should manually add it. I think I just override it. Okay, so adding this thing, and I suppose that's read the Pinia's documentation. I'm really good at closing tabs. I'm just like not happy about myself. Uh, what's that? Uh, so for Nuxt, let's track Nuxt. Auto import, without bridge, TypeScript. Okay, it doesn't say anything special, so it's probably here. Migration, let's check if there's a cookbook. Composing stores. Why is try to read x.name? Okay, it's saying that it's not referenceable. So okay, let's define a store here. So so here I think we can have a store. Should I put s or no? No. Okay. If there's no s, just send me a PR. Otherwise, I'm going to do it. Okay, stores. Nice. And we have the playground like that. Function. So wait, what? This is not what I want. Let's copy this thing. So use playground. Sorry. So use playground store maybe. So here we can have playground, right? And what are we going to have? State getters action. So option store. This is option store. So setup store. So setup store is pretty simple. We just return a function. So here we just return a function. Like that. So I think maybe we could moving our playground here. Wait, playground. Okay, I think we can move our playground here to have the store. So we just keep it as a singleton. So add event listener. So yeah, that's experiment now a little bit. So we can log to say initialize playground store. So we can have say like a the ref or one, something like that. And then so for testing, we could have this command. So I would like to know how it works. So basically you will have a store, right? And then we use this playground store. So it's automatically auto imported. So if we type here, okay, let's do it here. Probably would be better. It says okay. So playground A is 1 is options API both. So that means okay, so the A is actually ref. So it doesn't unwrap it for me. Okay. So that's nice. So if you see it's just 1. And I think I would like to make sure is how it works because uh to say if we have a temporary component. So if we do the same for the temporary component, and this is temp. So if we do that, and if we add a temporary component, I suppose this function should be only called once, right? So uh, here you have one line of initialize playground store, and on the server side, I should be able to have it. So every time I request it, it should start a new one. Okay, that's exactly what I expected it to be. So yeah, that's nice. So basically it means that this is a singleton, right? So it will be only set up for once, and only as I call it, if I understand correctly. So if I don't call it at all, to say if I don't need to do it, if I don't do it, so it shouldn't fire up at all. No, sorry. I have a temporary components here. So if I don't do it, the command is not here. The console is not here. So yeah, that's exactly what I want. So that's really nice. So so basically we could make sure this only called once, and that means we can move our whole playground things to it, and let's do it. And so we copy over all the things here, but you see that this is store. That's we can't. I guess we might not need this mark wrap, but I just keep it to be safe. So here load template, so I can have it load template, and okay, the instance here. Okay, so the playground instance will be a little bit tricky. So actually, I shouldn't be that lazy. I should define it. I think I should define it. So the playground instance. Okay, thank you. That's really nice. I don't need to care about those things. But it's not doing exactly the things I want. So it'll be playground status, and then it'll be ref, and the mount should be a function. Yeah, that's it. So this is the so for the files, let's wrap it as a ref as well. So later we might want to update it dynamically. So here, so for files, and can I put a type here? Would that work? Okay, it doesn't work as I expect. So here, I'll just put it here. So it will ensures me that the file is not exactly what I want. So I have a shallow ref files. Wait, what? Is that shallow ref a type already? Okay, I didn't know. But okay. So the arrow is sick. So this is like that. Okay, I forgot to import the type of file, so it doesn't. Structure and file. Okay, and you will see here we have a problem because this would breaks. Oh yeah, I haven't migrated to it. So if I remove this whole thing, and those are not working anymore. So we have stores, playground, and yeah, and we don't need this thing. We'll remove it. And okay, event. Yeah, this is something that's not related. And so these temporary components, we can remove it. And so use playground create playground, we don't need it. So we basically use playground, right? Is that use playground? Why is not auto typed? So use playground store. And wait, what? Okay, that's not what I want. So basically you see that this is like unwrap all. So this is unwrapping as well. So this is not what I want. And I'm not sure if there's a way to work around with it. But I mean, it may not be a bad idea to just keep it one single instance. So it's like play. Let's do play and play the. So it's a reactive. I see. This is a reactive. So basically, we change all these values to play. I think that would also do. That's actually easier. We don't have to deal with the dot value. So it's play dot mount. And so it's play dot this. And play dot this. Right, no type error here. And what is that is here. I think we have the main playground here as a use playground store. So in order to make it a line, we just use play. So it's read only. What's that? Okay. This is not what I want. But how I can tell the type? I mean, I think this is more like a type issue. But how I can tell the type not unwrap my files, my class? So let's check if it mentions gather action. Okay, gather is exactly the equivalent of computed value. Use with setup, use with com. So this is only available for option styles, right? It's just all option styles. States. I think I might need a course, right? Let me search for it. Shallow. No, there's no shallow. Deep. Deep partial. Shallow define store option. Yeah, that's directly tracking the types. And here, if I go like here, use a computer to work? Really? That can, yeah, that probably, that's view bail out the types. No, it still wraps. It still wraps. No, it still unwraps. So the web container is being expanded. That's not what I want. It's like it should be keeping as web container here. And I don't actually really care about those those functions, because those are coming from the class. So the file should be the file rather than this. So it's probably because of this this function. Wait, what? Unwrap. Oh. Unwrap all. What is this? SS. For internal use only. And extra state from extra state from setup store. And there's a condition. So if extends undefined, you don't need to do it. And if it's like this, it's never. So pick SS extract state from keys. Okay. Method computer ref. So yeah, that means that if it's expanded, if it's extended from computer ref, it shouldn't unwrap it, right? But a computer ref is coming from view dummy, and so that's I don't think that makes sense. Oh, I got it. So here I just do computed ref, and it shouldn't do it. Okay, nice. Okay, this is only type level. This is only about types. So we don't need to worry about it. So when it's wrapping with computer ref, it just allows you to have without unwrapping this. This is mark row at the type level, and it doesn't affect anything runtime. So you don't even need to do ref. You don't need to do computer like here, but yeah, it's fine. So so we go back to our playground. We will see our playground is not working because window is not defined, which is expected because we kind of now mixing client side code and server side code, right? So in order to fix this, I kind of have a solution. So here let's say we kind of put it inside this mount, and so here the state will becomes quite simple. So we basically load contents, and we have this preview wrap and things, right? And those are pretty kind of safe. This is just state, and the only thing that can be risky is the mount, right? So if we put all the things mount, and if we don't call the mount function inside the server, it should be fine, right? But if you refresh, it works. Okay. Yeah. This is to my surprise because I was thinking that we were referencing, even though we are not executing this function, we are actually referencing all those things like use web container, and that means that we are importing this module on the server side as well. And but I think that's the good thing is like the web container API, they are also doing like without a bit like server side render free. So it's like without initializing it, without actually calling it, importing that module is not risky. But if you want to make it very sure, what I would do is like I would dynamically import that module here, and I will never import that directly inside the server bundle, because those are still being bundled in the server side. But also, you can do is if import.meta.server, and I would do like throw uh, web container can not be mounted on server. But I mean, this line will never be triggered. So yeah, and hopefully this can like automatically tree shaken all the code on the client side. But yeah, I think it works, and everything works, and we don't need the thing that's let's try if HMR works, and if that works, we are good to go. Yeah, it works. It works. You see, it works. And yeah, and we can probably also do it a little bit about UI. So okay, I think I'm starting to enjoying Pinia now, because like before that I didn't really I didn't find it convincing to try something with Pinia, because most of the time I'm building SPA, and SPA I can share the state any way I want. And with Pinia, it's like it helps you to share the state while being SSR friendly, and which is really nice. I kind of starting to like it, and I think it's pretty neat. So basically, we can have another one. So what we have is UI define store, so we can use UI state. So we don't need to do it, and then is panel jogging. So we return is panel jogging. So yeah, that's it. So we can have this first, and then for this path use panel jogging, we can just remove it. So so you just use UI state. So we can call it UI. Can I? And then here is jogging, so we can have UI is jogging. Yeah, it's panel jogging to be more specific. And here we can remove it again, and yeah, and then UI use UI state. Yeah, like that, right? And we don't have anything else. So, and then we can remove this thing. So I'm thinking if we should kind of also doing this for panel cookies. And but yeah, let's check if it works. I suppose it should work. There's no reason it doesn't, right? Yeah, if I drag this, like this should be disabled, so you don't feel the laggy. Yeah, I think that's it. Pretty good. And now about this panel cookie. So I'm thinking that we should put it in the state. Uh, okay, I think we can put it together. So basically, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, this here. So we just remove it and we put it in the UI here, and we have that function for a while, but I think we can remove it, and then it's like size panel size guide. Should I call it guide, tutorial, or docs? So what I'm thinking is I should have a riff and this editor preview. So I'm thinking it's like I don't want to have multiple. I don't want to have multiple cookies inside like for different each size. I want to have a single one. So and I'm not sure how we can do it in an elegant way. So basically, we want to serialize those three values into a JSON, and then we put the JSON inside a cookie. So and every time we kind of start it, we parse the cookie, and I think that's do it maybe. Hmm. So I think we could do what we could do is here is like size. It's like panel size and use reactive. So we can have an editor. It's like 10. So okay, maybe that's called that persist. Reactive and panel, because size is, so it's a panel guide docs. Yeah, I'm kind not very sure about. So it's panel editor. So it's 30. So this those are the default value, and we can have two riffs like that. And then what we have is a cookie for Nuxt playground state UI maybe UI state. Let's make it more explicit. And then the default value will becomes an empty JSON. And then we have the riff of state cookie equal to here. And then in the state cookie, we don't need these things anymore. And in the state cookie, for the first time, we will assign the value of it. So basically, we parse it and we assign the value to it. If there's no value, we just use the default value. And if there is a one, and we get it one, and then we kind of watch the changes from the previous data. And if there's something changes, we just write it back to the cookie. So it should works like that. So it just basically read from cookie and write to cookie when state changes. So that's it. So basically we have three state, and we call it predicted state because later if we might want to add more, we could add more. And here we to riff to make it expand. So so here ideally we could have all these things gone, and we should restart. TypeScript not looking very good. Okay, so now you have the arrow. So you so then I have a UI, which is the UI panel docs, and then it's a value, and then again UI panel editor. Oh yeah, I think what I call it? It's called preview. Yeah, that's the correct word I want. Okay. So okay, and then we have the UI panel docs and UI panel docs. Or maybe we should make the preview as the I'm not sure. No, not so sure. We just do it like this. We don't change things. That would be better, I guess. So this should work already. Okay, something wrong. It's not a valid JSON. Oh, how could it be? So basically we can try cache it. If we change this and if we refresh it again, it's always writing object to it. That's something we don't expect it. So so it works, and if we change it, it should write it back to these things. And I think that's kind of fair. But when we see the application and cookie, so we have a lot of different things, and here is encoded, right? So if we kind of remove all the cookie and we restart again, so UIL encoded. Okay, decoded. So if we change it, we move it, right? How can I refer? Okay. So you see this is something that's already here. But then why the input, why the value that I have is not the things I want? And if I refresh it, you see this is getting object. Okay, so let's check the docs for use cookie. It's probably doing something I didn't aware. It supports object directly, so I don't need to do it like that. I can just assign to it. That's pretty wild. I just assign to it. So to make it fair, I think maybe let's create a new object that would be safer. All right. Okay, it persists. Okay, it has to be like that way. It's actually easier than I expect. Okay. Yeah, it's automated. So, okay. Do we need a default now? Okay, I think we still need a default. Okay. We have a type of like that. Okay. So it's partial. All right. Now we have the types. Cool. Yeah, so we don't need to do all these things. I mean, this is pretty self-explaining. Yeah, this is my first time using reactive. I mean, the exported store, Pinia store, is also a reactive. Reactive is fine. As long as you don't need to swap the value, you should be fine. And it serves as an object, which is nice. So you can serialize them all. So I don't need to specify them one by one. And yeah, what I want to do. Yeah, I think that's it. That's pretty good. Yeah. Feet. Wait. What file I didn't save? Okay. The state file can be removed. Wow. Only these things. Okay. I mean, we're probably going to later. We're probably going to move some part of the code here out, but wait. Actually, I can. Actually, I can. So this is the store, right? So the store shouldn't like actually shouldn't worry about uh shouldn't worry about the logic. So instead of having a mount in part of this store, because mount we only call once, so that means we can remove this thing, and we can call this place playground state. And because we call that playground state, we can have a playground and playground state here inside the mount. And inside this mount, we can just move it to say web container, right? And then we can say mount playground. This is a refactor, right? That doesn't really affect that much. So we move this server check to the up. So we have the playground. Let's do play, and we reference that type import. Oh. So I think I need to restart. So why use cookie not local storage? You can use local storage. The reason we use cookie because we want to share the state between server side. So so that you can so that you can share the states in server side, so you can generating a better HTML for your hydrate, so you don't got a flash of things. But that's something we haven't fixed it yet. If we do so, I wonder. Okay, so if we do like playground, and if we do like that, okay, we don't have a mount, and so we have tree. I think we can load templates later. So the ref will essentially be an empty files that and tree. I think we don't need tree. So we can load it here. So load template. And here we can remove all these things because it's a reactive object, so we don't need a ref. I'm just changing. I'm just jumping between ref and not ref and the reactive. But having this is not bad actually. So what's the problem? So if I do reactive, and this should be a shallow ref. Is the type works? Okay, the type works. Okay, so and I don't need to do anything. This is only the state that playground is going to use, and this mount will handle all the logic that playground is going to need it. So for here is like playground of files equal to files, and also like files we will just matching with, we will just assign to the web container. And then we have a play dot status equal to ready, and play dot here. We're just changing all the ref back to reactive. This is quite manual. All right, looks good. And then now we actually have a better uh, separation of concern. I think here is a bit tricky. Compute it and then so it doesn't work because but why is still is kind of unwrap again? That doesn't make sense, right? Because I already provide you the exactly type for it. I don't think it should unwrap it for me. Oh, another way of doing that is I will forcing cast to it. As I mean, this is not vectors. Find a better way of doing it. But at least I know what I'm doing, so it's fine. But I mean, this is you shouldn't do this, and I just want to fix the type here quickly because I want to preserve these files. Unwrap nested riffs. Yeah, I mean, you need to bail out of that behavior. And I saw that if I passing a generic here directly, it should makes it works, but it's not. So I'm not yet sure how we can fix it, but at least we have that. And here the mount here, so we can have mount playground, and we can pass the play. So let's check the code if that works. Okay, it works. So now we basically separate the client and server. So we kind of make all this store as server friendly, and because like this is just creating state, it doesn't do anything. And then we have the logic here. So we will mount the playground, and we'll load the files actually later, and so the server actually don't load those files, which is great, I think. And then we also have those things. What do I want to say? Uh, yeah, we kind of have separation because those are all kind web container related logic, and this can only happens on the client side. So kind of guard it to say you can only mount it on the client side. So it's not working fine, uh, which is great. And that's it. So we basically have another refactor. Oh, I forgot to commit in the previous. So yeah, that works. So that's a lot today. So 3 hour and 20. I'm getting longer and longer every day. Okay, and that's kind for today. And thank you for coming, like watching for so long. And I check if there's any questions. Is new map better than array for my example? I want to use new map for direct.get name instead of find, and get name from search parameters. I I think both would work. So the downside of using new map is like if you need an array or something, you need to convert it back. So it basically for map.get will be more efficient, I suppose. Like because it will creating a hash map. So if you're finding a something that's easy to find, especially when the data is a lot. But this is more like optimization, but you need to also consider the cost of like converting from map to array or array back to map, etc. Or if you have any misalignment between them. So I don't have a good answer to it. I think it just like really depends. And Circle asking, without using Pinia, is there a better practice or convention pattern to create a composable act just like Pinia? So it's singleton and it needs refs when the first time using the composables, in case if SSR is not required. So I would say just go use Pinia because it's more mature, more covering all the cases and have a better integration. But if you insist not using Pinia, I think there's a few function. It's called use global state, create injecting state, create shared composable, and those are similar idea, but it's more fundamental. And so the shared state, I think, would be pretty close to what Pinia does. But the thing is like I think it's basically the same, but it's not really uh wait. Okay. This is persist in the memory rather than the instant. So so it's not SSR friendly, by the way. And create injection state. And let me check the source code. Yeah, this would be SSR friendly because it's using an inject and provide and to the app. So you have the inject config local and then provide local. This is another function that you can directly inject right after provide on the same component. But it's just basically the same as inject and provide. So inject and provide allows you to have attach something on top of the component tree. So this allows you to um, share the state on the app instance. Well, that's whenever you create a new instance, it will create a new state. Yeah, that's it. And yeah, I'm not in China. I'm living in Paris. Okay, and now I feel that now I feel today we made some progress. At least we make the code base. I think it's more refactor. So today at least we make the code base more clean. So one thing I would like to do for this is like when you refresh, you see that there's a layout shift. And that is because the majority of the right side is still like client side render. But I would like to keep that shell as wait. Yeah. You see that the editor here is server rendered, but the list is not. So I guess there is a oh, or maybe it's because the split panel is not server side render compatible. Maybe I'm not sure, but I would like to fix this layout shift. And For the initial screen, I would like to say this is a block that's loading, this is a block loading, rather than the right panel just appear at once. But that's for later. And thank you. And if you don't have any further question, I think that's called it a day. And it's been 3 hours and a half. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And I will see you on next Tuesday. All right. Bye bye.